Okay, so let's crawl on underneath here. Let me show you guys this Roger Clark kit. As you can see, it uses an AN fitting on the back of the head. You have your tube, T, and then you splice. Now I spliced right here. On the GDs, this is a very tight radius to cut. If you're on like a newer chassis, like a VA or something, I see that there's a long straighter piece. So I kind of had to cut it right there. I do have another heater hose, but I'm not gonna put it on. That looks fine. It's not too far into that turn and that radius, and it doesn't look like it's gonna kink. The problem with the Roger Clark kit, and this is a problem with most of these kits, is this. So it comes out straight and then kinks up, and you have to cut the hose or bend a really hard radius. And as you can see, it's really close to my steering shaft. I know it's not touching, but you know, movement up in there, it's kind of hard to hold my phone in here and touch, but movement, it can touch. So we're gonna change that up. I'm gonna pull this off and we're gonna change this. All right, so here's what we got going on. We have a 45 right here. It goes to a flame-proof Gates hose. It goes up, and the T is up here. As you can see, it's right there. As you guys can see, well, sort of. I don't know why it doesn't focus down here. I still made a slight mess, but she's draining out right there. Pouring right into my pan. The mess is because when I first popped the cap, I ended up just taking it straight off, so she just shot a lot of fluid out all at once. But she's not that bad. There's a little bit of wet down there, but not that bad. Better than not using anything, that's for sure. And this is just water at this point. I mean, literally, there's no coolant in it anymore. This is straight. That's why it's crystal clear. You can see it right there. It's just distilled water at the moment. Because of the full flush I'm doing, this is flush number 3 or 4, I can't remember now. Yeah, so this was number 4. And she's pretty dang clear. So I'm gonna start doing blue coolant now. Since she's basically water, there's maybe just a slight amount of green left in there, but not much at all. But here's our other flushes. That was 1, 2, and 3. And this was part of 3. So between flushes 3 and 4, we got pretty dang clear, that's for sure. There's oil mixed in with those right there, so just ignore that. And there's some brake fluid mixed in on that one, but yeah. So tons of coolant. So here's where we're gonna go with coolant. I'm gonna start adding the blue coolant in. Now, the problem is, this system takes about 2 gallons to fill up, roughly. I can add these 2 gallons, and then I'm gonna have to flush it again because there's still water in here. I mean, it took 3 to get all the green out, so just think about that. So I'll have to flush it out again, then add another 2 gallons. And that will put me at a closer 50-50 range. Still not gonna be 50-50 though, right? So what we're gonna do is use this old one I got right here. This is just an old, almost a full gallon, not completely. We're gonna add this in and mix it with water. And then what we're gonna do from there is flush it one more time, and then this will start a solution in it. Then we'll add 2 gallons after we flush this and the water out. We'll add 2 gallons in, then flush the 2 gallons, and then add my last 2 gallons in. And that will put me at a much closer 50-50 ratio. And I know that's being really obsessive compulsive about this, but I don't want to have a freeze plug pop if it gets really cold. So, and who knows when I will actually top it off or do it again. So might as well do it now, never have to worry about it again. All right, fellas, we are on the first blue coolant flush. So I put about 3/4 of a gallon of 50/50 Honda Blue, and then about a gallon of distilled water. This is to get a flush through. And then I'm going to put 2 gallons of 50/50 through, flush it through, and then do a final 2 gallons of 50/50. And that should put the whole coolant mixture in here about 50/50. You can't buy this in concentrated form, the Honda stuff. So I just have to do the 50/50 flush a couple of times. But there's my little rig down there of my smart water bottle. It's literally, the plug is on the last thread. If I turn it and take the plug out, this will gush like crazy. So I've got it kind of trickling in there. It's got a little steady trickle stream going out in the smart water bottle. And then get up underneath here, and as you can see, he's just streaming along. It's gonna take a minute, but I'm fine. I'd rather not make a mess with coolant. It was fine to make a mess with all the distilled water because, well, the water dries up, but the coolant's gonna leak crap everywhere. Fellas, so update, we're finally on some straighter roads. For those of you who don't know, I kind of live up near the tail of the dragon, so I live in, well, basically mountains. So we're on some flatter roads, should I put it, and we're sitting at about 85 degrees Celsius, which is about 185 degrees Fahrenheit, and it'll start dropping in a minute. So driving through the mountains, I was sitting at about 87 degrees Celsius, which is about 190 Fahrenheit, and she'll stay constantly at about 80 to 83 degrees C. So she's starting to drop now, but we're starting to hit some hills again. So, but yeah, doing great. Doing absolutely fantastic. As you can see, the needle stays pretty low. She's staying cool. Fans kick on at about 100 degrees C, which is like 210 roughly. So been driving for a little while, and I'm in traffic now. She sits right around 90, which is roughly like 194 degrees Fahrenheit. So I mean, the radiator's gonna cool just as cool as, you know, I mean, you got a thermostat, so you're not gonna do a whole lot, but it's how cool the car, how quick it cools off. I mean, this thing will cool off really quick, and I'll show you guys once I get home and let it idle and let the E-fan kick on, but she cools off quick. Now, as you guys can see, she's sitting right there. We peaked probably today at roughly 99 degrees Celsius, 98 degrees Celsius, so not too bad. That's about as soon as the fans kick. So I've got my alarm set for about 100 and it's probably about 102 degrees Celsius. So the car will, my Defi Link will alert me whenever it's actually going to be a little bit over. But anyway, she's doing great. So radiator upgrade approved. Obviously cylinder 4 cooling mod, you won't know it. Like, that's just to equalize the temperature from this side to that side. That's literally all that's for. You really won't see it on your gauge or anything, but we do have another cooling mod. As you guys can see, oil temp. That's not plugged in, but I've got something else for us here soon that is going to go, and we're going to set that up, and we're going to try and get the oil temps down and preventative maintenance.